In this set of words, we're looking within the first set that end with OL, that's actually given a Schwartz sound, ol. So idle, enroll, carol, patrol, control. So we're not really pronouncing that. It's a variant of words ending in OLE. In the bottom part, we're looking at the A making its broad sound R. So we've got grasp, chaff, giraffe, plaster, and disaster. You may like to highlight those letters just to help you spell them correctly. There aren't a lot of words ending in OL. It's not a common spelling pattern, so do try to remember those 5. They're the most common ones. Now, what do these words mean? An idol is a person, thing, or an image used as an object of worship or greatly admired. Enroll means to register as a member of an institution. A carol is a religious folk song or popular hymn, usually associated with Christmas. A patrol is to keep watch over an area at regular intervals. Control is the power to influence or direct people's behaviour or a course of events, and it can also be a switch or a device which regulates a machine or a vehicle. Grasp is to seize or to hold something firmly, and it can also mean that you understand something. Chaff is chopped hay or straw used as fodder or food for animals. A giraffe is a large African mammal with a long neck and 4 legs with a patterned coat, and it's the tallest living animal. Plaster is a mixture of sand, lime, cement and water for spreading on walls and ceilings, and when it dries it forms a smooth, hard surface. And a disaster is a sudden accident or a natural catastrophe that causes great damage or loss of life. It could also be an event that has an unfortunate consequence. OL is not a common ending for many words, so do remember these 5 words as having that OL ending. We tend to give it a Schwartz sound, so rather than pronouncing it as ol, we're giving it patrol, carol. So it's a variant of words ending in OLE. Now, in the second set of words, you've got the A making its broad sound R, so don't forget you don't put the R in, you're just making the A make that long vowel sound. In this section, write a list word beside the correct meaning of the given words. Complete the sentence using the list words above and combine with the list word to make these common word pairs. Now down here you have to finish the saying and write the meaning. If you're not sure of what the missing word is from your words above, discuss them within your group and see if you can work out which word best fits these sayings and what the sayings actually mean. You may even have to do some research. Down the bottom, explain the meaning of these collective nouns. So we could have a journey of giraffes or we could have a tower of giraffes. The hint is in journey and tower. Have a think about those. If you're not sure, you'll just need to research it and discuss it within your group once again. Now there aren't many words that end in OL, so these are 5 of the most common ones. So do remember that that they do fit that OL spending at the end. Now these words have the R sound represented just by an A, so it's a bit tricky. So do remember there isn't an R in these words after the A. Now in this section you have to write the list words that rhyme with enroll. There are 2 and 1 word that rhymes with giraffe. Plurals, you have to just simply go through each of those. They're nice simple plurals for you to add the S or ES to. Now doubling the final L or not using British English. This can be quite tricky, so think about this and try very hard to remember it. It only applies to words ending in L if they're more than 1 syllable, but there are quite a few. So if we emphasise the first syllable, we do not double the L. So in idle, we are emphasising that when we say idle. So the emphasis, the larger part of what we say is the I. So we're not doubling the L before we add the extension of. Now if you look at enroll, N is the emphasis. So have a think, means you're not going to double the L. If you've got patrol, you can hear the second part of the word is emphasised. So that means that you will double the L before you add the extension onto that one. Now Carol, you can hear, once again, you're emphasising the last part, Carol. And in control, you're going control. So the emphasis is on the second syllable in each of those words, which means when you're adding these extensions on, you are going to double the L. So that's the easiest way to remember that rule. And there is a spelling card, if you forget it, that you can refer to in the future. Number 42. Verb families. So use an extension list word to complete the sentences. You're going to have to work out which of these words above are verbs and work out whether you need to write them in their past, present or future tense, and work out what the ending will need to be to finish those sentences correctly. This day 4 is a revision on compound and complex sentences that we did on in V9 day 4. So if you get stuck and you need information, go back to V9 day 4. And you've got information about clauses, compound and complex sentences. So I've also put a summary of it on the board here. So a compound sentence is the first part of this page, so we'll talk about that first. It says finish the compound sentence by adding an independent clause. So you've already got an independent clause, then you have to add a comma before you add the coordinating conjunction. So remember, your coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So if you remember the word fanboys, it will help you remember your coordinating conjunctions too. And then we add the independent clause after that. So an independent clause is just a clause that can stand on its own. It doesn't really need to be added to another part of a sentence, but it does make an interesting sentence, a compound sentence, if you can join two independent clauses together. So we want you to write 3 compound sentences here. So remember the coordinating conjunctions, so we put them on there for you too. Now when you get down to complex sentences, you're going to finish the complex sentences by adding a dependent clause. So that means that the first part of this must be an independent clause. Don't forget to put your comma after the independent clause before you add a dependent clause. Now, independent clause, it can stand alone. A dependent clause can't stand alone. It's always got to be written with an independent clause. It doesn't matter which one comes first, but they do need to be, the dependent clause is reliant on having an independent clause to make the sentence into a proper complex sentence. So we want you to write your own complex sentence here. Now, just read this little bit here before you, or when you get to this part of the page, to remind you. You can also write complex sentences that begin with the dependent clause. The only difference is you must put a comma between the dependent and independent clause. Whenever I leave my toys on the floor, comma, Mum gets cross. So write a complex sentence that begins with a dependent clause, add your comma, and then your independent clause.